Good evening. Welcome to the Town Council Public Hearing, regular meeting and executive session, December 19, 2019. Can I get a roll call?
Buckles present.
Holloway present.
Bennett present.
Bannon barely present.
Rosen present.
Let it known that we've established a quorum and Councilwoman Burge is absent tonight. Everybody rise for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I've got it. Okay, item 3, public hearing, 3A, additional use permit application 501 Haswell Avenue.
Have Nancy Campbell and Will Drapel.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council members.
Good evening.
Will Rabel, Nancy Campbell, we own 501 Haswell. We presently have a carriage house which is not developed on the inside, it just studs. What we'd like to have on the conditional use is to make a small apartment, one-bedroom apartment. We are former educators, we would love to rent to a teacher on a full-time basis. And that's about it. Any questions you have about it, try to answer them for you.
Thank you very much.
No one else has signed up and have not seen anything.
Okay,
Motion that we close the public hearing.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing closed. Recognition of visitors, presentations, recognitions, proclamation, King Charles School Choice Week.
What about the other public hearing? We don't have to do this?
Nobody else has
There were
signed
no
up.
comments. Nobody signed up.
Okay, gotcha.
Members of council, this is a proclamation, 2019-1219, Cape Charles School Choice Week. I'd like to have a motion to adopt this proclamation.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Whereas all the children of Cape Charles should have access to the highest quality education possible, and whereas Cape Charles recognizes the important role an effective education plays in preparing all students in Cape Charles to be successful adults, and whereas quality education is critical, important to the economic vitality of Cape Charles, and whereas Northampton County is home to public and non-public schools which parents can choose for their children in addition to families who educate their children in-home, and whereas educational variety not only helps the diversity of our economy, but it also enhances the vibrancy of our community, and whereas Northampton County has teaching professionals in all types of school settings who are committed to educating our children, and whereas School Choice Week is celebrated across the country by millions of students, parents, educators, schools, and organizations to raise awareness of the need for effective educational options now. Therefore, the Town Council of Cape Charles hereby recognizes January 26th through February 1st, 2020 as Cape Charles School Choice Week, and call this observance to the attention of all our citizens. Public comments.
Nobody has signed up.
7, Appeal of the Historic District Review Board's decision 206 and 208 Madison Avenue.
Council. Just a brief overview. Staff received a request from the owner of 20628 Mason Avenue to appeal the Historic District Review Board's decision to deny the painting of existing unpainted brick on the exterior of the duplex at 20628 Mason Avenue at the October 15th, 2019 meeting. The applicant is requesting to continue with repairing, sealing, and painting the remainder of the unpainted area of the north/front elevation, and to continue with the repairs on the other two sides of the building. So just a brief background, in November, a stop work order was placed on the property after the code official went out and noticed that painting was occurring. The applicant just wasn't aware that they had to go to the Historic District Review Board to paint that brick. But at that time, the rear elevation was completely painted prior to the stop work order being placed, along with a small portion on the front elevation. The two sides were not painted. And then the applicant applied for a certificate of appropriateness on October 15th. Staff recommended approval of the certificate of appropriateness for the rear elevation only, and that the applicant remove the paint on the front elevation per the best practices recommended by the Historic District Review Board. At that meeting, it was approved to retain the paint on the back south wall with the condition that the applicant remove the painted area on the north front side and no further painting be done on the brick exterior. And then staff's recommendation for tonight is to uphold the decision of the Historic District Review Board.
Thank you, Zach. Mr. Bisbee?
Number 7, I never thought it'd be this quick. Number 7. Good evening. I've got something. Am I allowed to hand something out to you guys?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So good evening, Mr. Mayor and the Council and members. I'm assuming you had, didn't want to repeat anything, I'm assuming you have a package, the original, and also the staff report and the Historic Review Board minutes. I would like to have a few comments along with submitting the letter from masonry expert and contractor. In the Historic District Review Board minutes discussion, it was stated that the older bricks are porous and I should contact the mason. I contacted and spoke to a number of masons, 2 of whom were recommended by Liam Power, with experience in old brick structures, including one that worked for Colonial Williamsburg, now retired. The letter I had is from Mark Johnson, Johnson Masonry Repair Corporation. Some of you may already know him as he's done repair work here in town, including the Cape Charles Museum. He came highly recommended by Kimberly Denny at the museum. As you will see from the letter, he's also done some lintel work for us. All porous bricks are a problem. We've owned the duplex for 5 years and spent a considerable sum on renovations when we purchased the building, including the roof. We have since had a considerable amount of water and damage that we have also had to repair at every time. There's also a problem with water getting in behind the bricks, freezing and forcing the bricks apart. In his letter that you have, Mark Johnson says that the only way to successfully stop this problem is to paint the outside. It is early days and only a few months since the repairs and painting were started in the rear of the building, so there has been no doubt coming through since. As mentioned, we have previously had to make internal repairs in this area, and as I say, it's early days. In the staff report under Historic District Overlay, I feel in this area we are contributing to the goal of the town to preserve and protect against destruction, damage, defacement, or improving the appearance of the town. I do not know whether the 1932 building has any architectural significance. I have to admit that personally I think it's a rather ugly building. I feel it will be vastly improved with the repairs and painting, along with being architecturally compatible with the general area and the considerable number of painted buildings already in the town, including a similar duplex across the street from the town hall, which I think you have a picture of. In the last few weeks, for some reason, the traffic both by foot and vehicle has greatly increased down the alley in the rear of the building. People have been coming by to check and complimenting on how much the improvement the repairs and cleaning have made. Hope that some of you may have already seen it yourselves. The main reason for painting the building is, of course, is not for the appearance, but to seal and stop further deterioration of the masonry. Improving the look is just an added benefit. Any questions?
I have one question. This letter on the 18th, was this provided to the Historic Review Board for their consideration during their deliberations?
As I said, I haven't talked to it.
All right, so this is new information coming to the table, just new information.
I'm sorry?
This is new information
Oh,
coming
yeah.
that the board has not been made privy to.
They were the ones that suggested I talk to them. Talked to a number of them. They didn't all see it, but he came and visited.
Do you have an extra copy of this letter?
Yeah, you should have it like
And
that.
I was wondering if you.
Oh,
there's a couple board members sitting back
You
there.
can share. Read that.
I'm sorry. I didn't,
So this is the problem now. Now we're deliberating at another board meeting with additional information which is not appropriate, you know. But we can carry through and listen to what the board's reaction is, but,
Well, if I could make, I appreciate the fact, and it's too bad you didn't realize that you need to get approval to do this. I appreciate the fact that you're trying to clean the place up. And it is unfortunate that you have gotten this far with this painting. I don't believe the statement in this letter from the Johnson Masonry is totally true, because I have a relatively new house, 15 years old, that had poor masonry work and was leaking as well. We had it coated with a seal coat that is clear, that you can't see, that doesn't reflect, and it totally stopped the water intrusion. So painting with a colored paint is not the only way to stop moisture getting through bricks. And we had any trouble with that in the last 10 years. So there are other ways of effectively doing that. On a side note, while I have the floor, I'm appalled at the yard next door to this house.
Yeah.
And the photographs, and I'd like to find out if we can do something about that as well.
it certainly crossed my mind, but, that's not the only one.
Anybody have one?
Obviously, but, I'm trying to improve and get penalized for it.
Anybody have any more questions for Mr. Bisbee? Historic District Review Board, you want to come up? Sure.
Thank you.
The decision to deny the certificate of appropriateness for 206-208 Madison was based on two sections in our guidelines. The first one was on page 52, which says retain masonry features that define the overall character of the building, which of course includes obviously the brick portion of the building, its color, its appearance, its non-painted nature. The second one is on page 52, number 4, avoid painting unpainted brick surfaces. Those are really pretty clear guidelines. On a further note, I visited the structure and reviewed the masonry in detail. I deal with this problem in my own business on a regular basis. The real problem is the masonry sits in a bucket of water, because obviously the water table here is very low, it's very porous. So as I think everybody sort of talked around, it sucks up moisture and has to get rid of that moisture in some form. But if you paint the outside of it, what you do is you push that moisture to the inside of it, or you push it somewhere else. And what's happening here, and I'd be more than happy, I think any of the board members would be more than happy to help anybody with this, is that the lintels are iron, they're corroding badly, and they're spalling, in other words, swelling, and every one of the window openings has a crack, a severe crack. In some cases, even some of the bricks are broken. And that's what the real source of the problem is. But The Park Service gives out many guidelines for how to do this and do it properly and make sure it lasts for many, many years. And we'd be happy to help any way we can. But those guidelines, I think, are pretty specific about what you can and can't do with much.
What's a lintel?
This piece right up there. It is below the surface for us.
It is mentioned in that letter which that they work will be done on those. Repair plan.
Thank you.
Sure. Steve, thank you.
That's what I meant. There's
Any questions for anybody?
This next one. Make a motion that we uphold the decision of the Historic District Review Board.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? All? Ayes have it. Review board's decision is upheld. Item 8, consent agenda, which consists of the approval of the agenda format, approval of the minutes, approval of October 31st, 2019 financial report, monthly department reports, and set a public hearing for proposed zoning ordinance text amendments, section 4.5 and 4.6, off-street parking and loading requirements. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unfinished business. Harbor Development Certificate Application for 100 Bayshore Road.
Hello again. All right, the description of the proposed project, applicant would like to construct this is located commonly known as Lot 17 in town, just south of the town harbor, off Bayshore Road. And it's currently operating as a boatyard storage. It was the former sewer plant, I believe. So the applicant would like to construct a 60 by 120 metal building, approximately 30 feet in height. Building will be constructed with 5 overhead doors on the west side, 24 foot high. White standing seam panel configuration to match the existing boatyard structures and the Harvey building. The building will be used as a space to work on boats during rough weather and to store tools and machinery. The Harbor Area Review Board met on December 11th to discuss the project, and they recommended approval of the application with the condition that a vegetative screening be provided between the proposed building and the Old Cape Charles Road area in excess of 6 feet between the proposed building and Old Cape Charles Road.
For what purpose?
To screen the road from the metal building and all the stuff that will go in between the metal building and that.
I know, but it's facing an industrial area, so why are they screening it?
As you're driving on Old Cape Charles Road, if you look to the right, if you're heading towards Bayshore,
Yeah, there's a big old forest there, you won't see it until you're parallel with it.
in the area that the building is being proposed, as you can see in this,
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
yeah. Well, that was I'm just
I know what
updating you
it
on the, yeah. So that was the discussion, a lot of discussion on that specific topic of screening that area.
Well, was it agreed to by the applicant at the time of the meeting?
It was.
But it will be appealed tonight.
Staff recommends town council approve the proposed project with the following condition: a vegetative buffer be planted to grow in excess of 6 feet between the proposed building and Old Cape Charles Road.
I just want to make sure I understand. So are we talking, like there's already.
Outside the fence, correct?
Yeah.
Or Bayshore Road. Sorry,
Bayshore Road.
I might be using the wrong road. That area, south of the building.
I don't understand the vegetation thing, it's placing an industrial area, to me it makes no sense. Forcing someone to build something, 3/4 or 7/8 of it is facing industrial and facing the town, you'll see it from Shannon anyway. So what's 60 feet of vegetation gonna do, except waste their money?
Can I get a motion and we have discussion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed project that, for the boatyard ship building at 1100 Bayshore Road with the following condition, a vegetative buffer be planted.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second, any discussion?
Well, that's what I was discussion. I just don't think the vegetation buffer is necessary once there's an industrial area.
Right.
And you've already got a tree line buffer that's behind it.
Yeah, you can see it, the tree line, and even in the area. I don't think
Speak up,
it's
folks,
necessary.
as you.
I don't think it's necessary. You can actually see that there's already a buffer there. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I wasn't there at the presentation, but.
Zach, can you add any more to the rationale with the buffer?
Just the idea that it is visible. I mean, there's a tree line there and a fence, and I believe that a lot of vegetation has been cleared out of that area. But I should have provided photos on the ground. That would have been helpful, but I did not provide that in the information.
Yeah, I guess for me, I think what Councilman Buckles and Councilman Holloway saying that, you know, it's a boatyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a boatyard.
Yeah.
That we approved to be there.
Right.
Well, I mean,
And that they've done so much to improve the area and all of the work that's being done, that seems really a stretch. I don't.
here's the other kicker, because you've got industrial to the south on both sides and split between, what's that road called, the technology road? It goes back to the Stitt Park. Both sides of that are industrial. Across the street, next to Bayshore Concrete's industrial. It faces industrial on all aspects except for the woody tree line that's behind it. So putting a buffer up there because somebody's driving by, they look that way, and for a split second they see a building.
Steve, can you add anything to this, given the fact that you're on harbor?
Other than, there was a lot of discussion about how much you could screen it and whether it should be 6 feet tall at maturity or 6 feet tall when planted, or how tall should it be.
The building is 30-something, tall is it, 30-something feet tall?
I let the rest of the committee do most of the discussion on that. And I did not make the motion to forward this to council
With the buffer.
with the buffer.
I mean, think about it, the building's about 30-something feet tall,
Yes, 30 feet tall.
6 feet or 6, the thing would have to be 20 feet tall, the buffer.
Well,
Seriously.
there's no buffer around the boats that are around there either. They're a lot, some of those are a lot worse looking than the building would be.
Especially that tugboat, rusty tugboat.
Wasn't there a lot of discussion when the harbor was going to be developed into a commercial and to a yacht, a center for recreational boating? There's a conflict. And one wants to make it more industrial, and the other one tries to make it fluffy.
Yeah, but
And that was one of the warnings when we were talking in the harbor years ago.
Yeah, but years ago, you guys were also talking about having barber shops and daycare over there too.
Years ago, it
That's all, that's
wasn't,
still, I think it's
it
probably
wasn't
still
zoned industrial,
Here's
it
the
was
thing.
kind of rezoned industrial, and that's the direction it's going, is
Yes.
all industrial.
Yes.
And the reality of it is that the yacht center has brought both the beauty side of it and the functional side along with our watering side. I mean, I think we have a very unique, wonderful balance there of both worlds.
And just think, they're
And
gonna
this is functional. I mean, that just doesn't,
and then to put the ice in the cake, in the future, they're putting a 278-foot building right across the street. What are you gonna do, how are you gonna buffer that? It's industrial, it's not gonna be.
Redwoods.
The idea is not to buffer the building, the 30-foot high building, it's to buffer the stuff that's gonna be, just like your.
That wasn't the discussion. The
Yeah.
discussion was to buffer, the buffer was to block the vision of the building.
It's just, to me, it makes no sense.
Would you like?
All right, so I'll make a motion to amend the motion,
Okay.
okay, to remove the requirement for vegetative buffer.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Passed. 4-1. Next, new business. Inner Harbor rehabilitation.
somewhere other than here. Hopefully tomorrow. Well, that might be skiing. So
I think it's colder.
The Inner Harbor phases is rehab of the Inner Harbor. It was discussed last year, and there was some talk about breaking it up in phases. We had it in basically 6 phases. Tonight, we have basically gone over what is most priority, and with Tom Langley and the architectural waterfront pricing, that what is most advantageous and most cost effective. The phases were broken down 1 through 3, which starts in front of the harbor office, goes around to where you see the lifeboat, and to the northeast corner. And with the recommendation of the engineering, with price and materials, we, in all of our discussion, was the most cost effective was removing the wood and going with concrete. In those areas, there's minimal electrical work that has to be done, and some plumbing that would have to be done. The council appropriated funds up to of $125,000 in this year's budget. With the engineering cost, we have $103,700 left. The pricing of the phases, it would be 1 through 3. That's removal, replacing with 10 foot of concrete, 6 inches thick, adding street lights to the area that are similar to what's around town, the park and Strawberry Street, and 6 inches of concrete, 10 foot wide throughout the whole basin, would be $93,300. What we're asking for is, due to the deterioration of phase 4, which is on the east side, it goes from the corner of where the lifeboat is all the way over to the Coast Guard property.
Phase 4 is the Coast Guard side.
Is it?
Phase
All the
1
way around to
through
the
3.
pavilion.
Phase 1 through 3 is,
And all the way around.
Yeah, it's 2C, yeah, all right, yeah, 4A is actually the Coast Guard. So those, the appropriation funding of 125 was to do up to the northeast corner. Phase 2C is the additional funding to do the most west side that goes across Center Dock and to the southeast corner. And that is an additional $118,000. These funds, the additional funding, we're asking for to complete up to the southeast corner. That would entail the lighting and the utilities that are required, and the 10 foot of concrete, and removing the wood.
So that totals 246,000, all four of those things.
So in a nutshell, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit, Charlie. The way Bob read this out, you're a little bit confused with, if you look at the bottom of the sheet, phase 1 through 3 is the north side, the two sections on the north side of the harbor and the east side. Phase 4 is the actual south side, then they got the boardwalk lights and poles and the paved turnaround. When I reached out to each one of the council members, I guesstimated somewhere around, just from our conversations, that we were gonna need to add for $100,000 to complete phase 1 through 4, plus the turn shanty and the light poles. It's a little more to complete that. Still only gonna ask for $100,000 when we get done, what we can get done. The south side is not in the south side of Inner Harbor is not in as bad a shape as the east and the north side.
Yeah, because that's the 100, with basically with phase 1 through 3, the boardwalk light poles and the paved turnaround, they're going to replace that.
Well, and the reason why phase 4 is so much more is because there's power and water and stuff on our side. There's a lot more ground work has to be
I mean,
done.
basically, they're looking for phase 4 money.
No, we're looking for everything but phase 4.
Yeah, it's actually
It's 127.9.
phase 2C.
Yeah, that's not in here. You're confusing everybody. Phase 1 through 3.
But then we appropriate 125.
Yeah.
So we're basically.
So basically, we've got 103. We need around 200 to complete what I just said. And what we are requesting is to transfer 100 from the library, and that's coming later to complete the north side, the east side, get the concrete turned at the shanty and all the light poles in to make it safe over there.
But that's 127, we get 200.
It's not 127, it's 91. It's 91.
I just added it up.
It's 195,000.
No, it's 195, the 91 is misleading. That's what,
Yes.
you've already used 103,000 that's existing. All right, so in my mind, we've got 103,700, plus we're transferring another 100, so there's 203,700. That's what we're gonna do. And right now, what I'm hearing is the paved turnaround, boardwood light poles in phases, what?
The north and the east
No,
side.
give me numbers, I got numbers here.
One numbers.
1, 2,
I want a drawing. I'll make a motion to table this, and the reason I'm making that motion is because this is obviously too confusing and not well thought out, at least as it's presented here. So there's got to be a drawing that indicates all of this paving. There's got to be a drawing that indicates these lights, where they're going to be powered from, et cetera, that you could see something to talk about it. And then this big laundry list of numbers, I'd like to see that put in some kind of a format that better demonstrates what it is we think we're doing before we divert $100,000 from something to something I don't even know what we're doing.
Yeah, second. I have a drawing, but it wasn't added to your,
I mean, how are you going to get this done? Is it going to be advertised?
yes.
What are you going to advertise, that drawing?
No, it's,
There should be a set of plans that are put together if we've spent
yeah,
$20,000 on engineering fees.
Yeah.
I want to see those.
yeah, that was a 30% plan supposedly, according to Tom.
How do they get these numbers without 50% plan?
It's based on the cost of concrete and square footage.
Using Tom's electrical as utilities numbers, and then the concrete, which was an afterthought after he did his 30%, just knowing that we could do it a lot cheaper utilizing concrete.
As opposed to what?
Wood.
Cheaper use concrete than wood.
Well, it's the overtime.
The durability.
Yeah.
It actually, yeah, and labor, your labor cost is a big thing when you're talking about docks.
So I think call for the question. I think we had a motion.
So we got that
Second.
motion second, so discussion, I've got some discussion. I understand council's, I get it, what Steve's saying. This is something that can't be done annually.
Right.
I mean, this is something that can't be done, I mean, it's gotta be done before April 1. Or we're just, we'll hang it up and then we'll be right back where we were with the safety hazard, tripping hazards and holes in the boardwalk and everything else. You're right, I'm not gonna say it's wrong, you should have. You should have drawings and stuff.
Didn't say I'm wrong.
But I'm just saying, so what I would like to ask is that we table it, to table part of this, some of it. The paved turnaround at Shannon and the light poles down at the boardwalk there, that is something that we can do.
Yeah,
I mean, that's something,
pictures
it's
for that,
something
we
we get
know
you,
what that
Is
is.
that a self-help project?
do I know?
Is it a self-help project? Is Public Works gonna do it? Who's gonna do it?
No, we've got to put the concrete out there.
Yeah.
The
Well,
lights would be from the same.
The lights, the same thing with the
What do you-
lights, but the lights is
what do you
really,
put out to bid if
the
it's
power's
30%
already there. The
design?
power's already there for the lights, there's a full power from off of the benches.
What are we gonna put out for bid if it's 30% for that?
That's not even part of that. We just had a couple of contractors coming in and measure it out and give us suggestions.
Well, based on our history with what we get done, when we have to put bids out, this isn't gonna get done until middle of summer, if that.
Well, the
Based
lights,
on
we
our
don't have to
history.
do a bid out because we already have the company.
Well, I'm not,
That we
I'm
use
not,
that.
worried- yeah, I'm not worried about it.
What's the price of the lights?
Dave, are the lights like about 800 each, 1,000 each?
15,000.
Like 2,000 days. Yeah, they're around
So you're talking about 7.
So we're gonna do that ourselves? Is that a self-help project?
I'm sorry?
Is Public Works gonna do that?
Install
We could, I mean,
or Chad or
No,
last
I mean, I
one.
would probably just get Chapman to come over to it
So
or
let's
an
look at,
electrician.
let's look at it for the.
Power's there, the electric's all running, all we have to do is just
Yeah,
mount the lights.
it'd be just like on Mason,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
we did Chad.
And it's the same thing with the tear, I mean, realistically, they're never take it, Jeff's gonna inspect it, they're gonna lay a rebar in it, they're gonna pour it.
I have a drawing.
I don't know what that, I'm sorry.
We're talking 4 lights, not 7.
4 lights?
If they're
That's what it's
2,000
saying,
each,
yeah.
Yeah.
well then
We
why don't we
estimate
do,
for
oh, is
4
the,
light poles.
Yeah, but there's also no footings, there's nothing to hold it, basically, for the.
No, I understand whatever's associated with that.
It's a little more involved.
It's not 7 lights that
We
we're talking about, we're
estimate
talking 4 lights.
$3,500 a piece, is what our estimate.
did you work with Dave on that? Because I mean, they just did the same thing on.
Yeah, well, we knew the price of the light,
Right,
and then this was the cost estimate from online.
Federal conduit.
I understand, but I mean, we just did it on Mason, so we actually know the real.
Well, the difference between Mason is that everything was there. The power was
Power
there,
was not
the
there.
bolt, the foundation was there,
I got you.
you only had to put the lights in there.
Yep,
Everything will hold for concrete, you go and all that crap. Bolts to bolt it down. This one.
Cameron, the 19 lights on Mason Avenue were $51,000. So it's actually more than 2,000. It might actually be closer to 3, because they were $51,000 for 19 of them. And then
Existing
the installation.
So the-
doesn't count the 2 that were in Strawberry, the 2 that were in Strawberry, the 20.
Same, yeah.
I don't have a problem moving ahead with the lights and the turnaround using our existing 103,700. It's already budgeted, so if you want to release it for those 2 projects, and we'll wait to hear on the phase issues later, I have no problems with supporting that.
That's a good option.
So that's this line item that says boardwalk light poles? Okay, so I can amend my motion to table this with the exception of the boardwalk light poles.
In the turnaround.
Yeah.
Turn around.
Second.
All in favor?
Alright.
Opposed? Thank you.
So we'll come
Charles,
back in
can I-
January with the next step.
Yeah, this needs to be
Yeah,
done in January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the diagram that we had for the turnaround that Bob did. And it's 6 inch, and then where the truck, where the delivery trucks pulled in will be 8 inch. And it'll be red in color to match the future pavers around the Woodman's Memorial.
Which Dave signed the contract with that. Last week, he signed a contract to have the pavers. And
Okay.
Okay.
And if we can get a paver, then when they pour the concrete, you know.
Yeah.
Really expand.
Right, let's go on, let's go on the harbor roads.
Thanks again. The harbor rates, we did a study, we added actually a few more marinas in, this year. From last year to this year, there's been a lot of increases, minimal, but increases throughout our area and throughout even the lower Chesapeake Bay. Boating's getting to be a lot more popular, economy's doing well. If you have any questions,
I'll make a motion that we accept the harbor master's recommendations for rates for 2020 to 21.
Second.
Any discussion?
I was just curious on, it looks like Kings Creek Marina went up quite a bit, right? Weren't we in line with them last year?
No.
we were under them.
Right, but not that much of a gap.
Their rates was that last year.
These,
I managed it.
I know that, I just remember you presenting and I don't remember it being that far of a difference.
Yeah, from the rates that I got last year, I pulled them off the internet. They were, when I, yeah, I didn't even have to get into it. When I did the rates on the computer, they went back to the previous years. They didn't save.
Okay.
That was my fault.
I thought I remembered it. It's a crazy thing to remember, but
The other difference is between, the Whiskey Farm, and our marina, they actually charge by boat length, which their boats is pretty close to the size of their slips that they're using, so it really don't matter, but they still only charge by boat length. We have a minimum slip length.
Okay. I don't have-
And just to reiterate, minimum slip length is the preferred method of charging.
Most places either use slip length, minimum slip length, only a few places uses boat length, Whiskey Farm's one, a few,
We would change all that, because most of them are looking down the coast, it's always good.
well, for nightly, it is boat length. We're annual and semi-annual, just about every one of these on here is either full slip length. Salt Ponds is actually, they charge a slip length for nightly. So, most people tries to get as much money for the square footage they've got sitting in that dock, and that's by charging the slip length. And what Charlie's done is he's, instead of charging a full slip length, that's not changed from last year, it's usually -10. So if the slip's 45, you get charged a minimum of 35. If your boat's 38, you get charged for 38. So. Good. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Up next, Grimes Maintenance Service for the tank.
Mr. Mayor, Town Council, Libby. Brunswick Town. We published the invitation for bid on November 1st. Proposals were due and opened on November 26th. Broward Heights was the sole bidder, and the town manager and I reviewed the bids together. The current bid package contains 3 separate parts, one for mowing town properties, one for central park maintenance, and the third is a new contract proposal for maintenance of the Stone Road corridor. Broward Heights base bid for mowing services is $31,000, up from $24,000. The bid for the maintenance of Central Park, including mowing, fertilization, aeration, herbicide spraying, mulching, pruning, and irrigation, is $17,130, up from $15,705. The maintenance of the Stone Road corridor came in at $32,000. The total for all 3 is $80,130. We have a contract in place with Broward Heights for weeding and mulching of the flower beds in town for $13,250 annually. We have in the past budgeted $5,000 annually for incidentals. And if we choose to go forward with all the items listed above, the annual total will be just under $100,000, $98,380,000.
Where did Jackie bid come from?
I'm sorry?
Brother, I was the only one, I don't want to be on Jackie's bid in there too.
Well, Broward Heights was the only complete bidder. The only thing Jackie bid on was the Stone Road corridor, and he didn't include the ditch. He included from the ditch to the railroad and from the ditch to the farms. Broward Heights bid includes from the road to the railway and from the road to the farm field. So all the ditches and everything are included in their bid.
And you, the town, the Public Works currently does
We try.
that.
And in previous years, I started doing the mowing myself. Then Billy started doing it, and his back is so bad that he just couldn't do it. So the Public Works people kind of took over. But when we started doing it, the railroad was cutting grass out there, Bay Creek was cutting grass out there, so we were just cutting stuff that they weren't doing. Now we're the only ones cutting, and Jackie Bailey and his dad. But now we're the only ones out there cutting. Jackie did last year. He's had some health issues. I don't know if he's going to do much more cutting out there. But
How many lawnmowers do we have? Just curious, just one?
yeah, and it's
For $100,000, can we hire 2 people on another damn lawnmower? We have 2 people doing it ourselves?
I mean, it's the infinite
Man,
number
it's cheap.
of possibilities that we could do.
To do all of this?
Yeah.
It's not just
Oh,
money.
no. You
No,
mean
it's
the
not.
whole contract? No.
I mean, if that's all they're doing, sure as heck can do that in a week. Sure as heck.
They're just not mowing just in Central Park and other areas, they're actually.
I get it, I know
landscaping.
all about it. They're gonna have 4 people doing it. And then it's once a week.
You're just talking about mowing.
They cut all week.
Mowing and all that stuff.
No, they're cutting all week. They don't do this in a day.
No, they start, once
Yeah, they're constantly cutting somewhere in
somewhere.
town.
Yeah.
So how often would they do the Stone Road corridor?
Every week.
Once a week?
It's basically $1,000 a week. We get
1,023.
31 weeks,
From,
1st of April to the end of October.
but from up to the town limit?
From 13, the way my description was from 13 back to the.
Okay, so the county
Cape
property
Charles
as well.
Brewery.
They're gonna cut it all the way to 13.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How far is that?
2 miles. 2 miles. Some of it's cut by privately, the houses out there, I mean, we wouldn't be, that was the further part of the description, whatever is not cut by other people.
Yeah, that's not a whole lot.
No. Well, it is a lot, the part that's not cut by other people.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Jackie Bailey's dead, basically, he cuts in front of all base doors, all the way down to where it opens up with the outlet 13. He doesn't cut the big area.
Does he get turned by the county? He just does
He
it?
just does it.
He just does it.
Are the town mowing Went up 30%. Did we increase the area that he's mowing?
Yes, we increased the area with 4 separate areas, and maybe it fit, I'm not sure, but the Keck Well site we added, the backwash vault over at Southport, we added the East Well site next to the brewery and the railroad parking lot. And I'm not so sure that our previous bid actually includes new roofs, which is $2,500 a year. That's like the most expensive area we might. So yeah, there was some stuff that was added.
What's the charge for the new routes there?
What did you charge, 25?
Like 12,000, I think is what we paid for the one we got.
No.
That was
For
10
new
years.
routes, just-
2,500.
Oh, new roofs, it's $80 per mowing, so it's about $2,500 a year.
They do mine acre for 40.
Yeah, well, they gotta do new roofs, they don't do your acre with a weed eater
Yeah,
either.
they have to go around
That's
the
the way
beds.
they gotta do new roofs.
They have to go around all the beds.
So realistically, council can accept this whole thing, or they can, I see it's, the Stone Road corridor is not a high priority, so they can accept the bid without the Stone Road corridor.
It's 3 separate bids. I mean, you can accept any one of the 3 or reject.
Dave, what would you think of every other week? Would that be something that would be doable?
It is, but they're probably gonna charge you about the same. It's harder to mow every other week, you know, it gets, especially if it's raining, it gets real tall, it gets real, and, yeah, I tell you, I think it would, it's a lot of money, but it might be worth it. I mean, really, it looked like a yard, it looked like your lawn coming into Cape Charles would be really nice.
It's an important impact, so.
I'm looking at $32,000, so that's an added staff personnel for your crowd that you can have an entire year.
I'm looking at it as a budget
Doris.
conflict, because we don't have that $32,000 budgeted. So,
Well, that's a problem then too.
You know, they do a lot of safety training, Broward Heights, they do safety training every day just about. And I just, you know, my guys were out there cutting the highway, cutting the ditches and all that, and I was just, my stomach was knocked the whole time. It's just scary.
real risk.
I don't like
I
it.
agree. I completely agree, because they have people that do it professionally across the state because they're trying to know those angles and doing that. It's very different.
Yeah. It's the ditches. If we did everything but the ditches, that would be one thing. But the ditches are the hard part.
this was 32, it's 32 is an add-on. The increases on the other, we can move some money around and make that work, but the 32, we would probably have to wait till a 6-month budget review,
Which will be in January.
Next month.
which is, well, it'll be February. Which is shooting out the books, it'll be February, the first Thursday of February.
How long is the pricing good?
Well, until you make a decision. That's one of the reasons we brought it now, is that Broward Heights needs to know, so they can gear up, and we need to know so that we can gear up. And so, you know,
I have a question about the 13,000 for the beds on Mason Avenue. Are they currently doing it? Because they're not done very well.
well, I think they look pretty good. The weeds are not in there. And, yeah, I don't know, I don't think they look too bad.
So would the town need to figure out allocation for plants to go in there? It's just not, they're not all kept.
Oh, yeah, well, the plant, they weed and mulch,
Yeah.
and that's it.
That's
They're not maintaining,
No.
no. They do, and they will if we ask them, and Kim's very good at it.
She is.
She'll come and say, it looks like, you could do this here, and that would be great.
We
That
can take everything
$5,000
that's in them now out and replant them all.
We could,
Yeah.
that's what Main Street's working on, and Kim's on our committee. But I know that that's always a struggle, and we do, I know you answered the email, I just saw it from this afternoon, but we had a problem with watering this summer, because we added the planters with the understanding that the town would be able to do that watering before we made that decision to do it from a Main Street perspective, and then that wasn't able to be done, so we lost everything, even though we tried to keep it up for about a month, just people taking gallons of water.
If, we basically do it when Kim tells us they need it. that's the way we do it. If we don't really hear from her, then we don't. I mean, it can certainly be scheduled. You know, we certainly can do that.
Because
That's not-
we tried to do that through Jen. It needs to be in the summer, it's gotta be watered 2 to 3 times a week. I mean, that was the arrangement that we had. And then we were told suddenly in the middle of July that the town couldn't help anymore. And so we were taking gallons of water by golf carts.
I don't know who told you that, because I didn't tell you that.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Something we need to make sure.
All right,
Do we have budget then, if we remove the 32,000 for now? Do we have the budget for the 66,380?
we do.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we proceed with what is being presented here minus the maintenance of Stone Road corridor at $32,000.
Second.
Any more discussion?
But don't tell them we're not gonna do it, because
Yeah,
I want
I'll go ahead and
that
bring
Stone
that-
Road corridor high on the priority list somewhere.
I'll go ahead and bring that back once we Deb gets the numbers for a
Yeah.
second budget review. And if everything looks favorable, we bring that back then. That's okay with council. Got a motion, got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask council to remove item 10D, make a motion to remove item 10D as a reflection of what transpired with item 10A.
I'll make a motion that we remove item 10D from the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Where are we done? Okay, mayor and council comments, Councilman Buckles. I'll start with you first.
I guess I'm first over
Go to the left, we always go from left to right.
there. Somebody, I gotta think about it, because I had something there I was thinking about.
Can we come back to?
Yeah, we'll backtrack, we'll start with Councilman.
I want to commend Public Works and all the folks that worked on all the lighting in the park for the grand illumination and through town. The extra effort put in this year is really noticeable. It looked great. The grand illumination was a fabulous event, and they should really be proud of the work that they did. Festive Fridays has gone very well, even in the pouring down rain. Last week, the shops were packed, not much on the streets, but it was even better because the people went in. So tomorrow's the last one. I encourage everybody to come out and support the businesses if you can. But mainly I wanted to congratulate Public Works and Jen on their work. And Jen also helped out on Sunday with the cookie trail. And this whole front area was covered with bags for donations for the food pantry. And their shelves were bare. And we were able to walk over with that. So we had about 400 people through. So it was pretty
That's
impressive.
a large cash.
You know, like almost $600, I think, in cash. So it was really, and what was interesting about it is it was a lot of visitors coming in for the day. It was a lot of day trippers. So, but Jen did a lot of work on the holding down the fort here, and so we really appreciate that. That's it.
Okay, my wife and I did the artisan trail the day after Thanksgiving, and if you've not done that, you should. We started down here and worked our way north and ended in Onancock, so we decided to have dinner there. And as we drove in, I noticed that they had signs up calling for Fab Friday. Not that they copied us, but they were all decorated. There was a couple of stores open, and the North Street Market was the only one that was hopping.
Yeah.
So we had dinner at the Hotel Charlotte, and then we drove back out of town. It was pretty much dead by then, everything closed. And came back to Cape Charles and drove down Mason Avenue. That was the first Festive Friday. It was overwhelming. The crowd was in the street. So, yeah, I echo that. It was unbelievable. Well done. Also, I want to get some interest again moving and investigating benefits of having a harbor management company manage our harbor. I think we've got a number of expressions of interest, enough so that we at least need to hear what they have to say and what they have to offer. So I want to get that on an agenda soon. And other than that, I'd just like to wish all of you a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
That's all you got?
That's it.
You were glad you didn't have to make cookies.
Happy New Year's, and the Epiphany Party is January 11th.
Who benefits?
Rosenwald School and Museum.
Awesome.
So I think it's the 27th year, something like
I
that.
think the Epiphany Party raised well over 6,000 for the one from one last year. That's pretty awesome.
Any volunteer you want to do it, it's free. We offer beer and wine free. It's extremely
Well, that-
Catholic.
that-
It's extremely Catholic.
Yeah.
And,
Let the booze flow.
Yeah.
and auction off your least favorite Christmas gift. And, but don't clean your attic out like other people do.
Well,
And
we
not
won't-
even
we won't be there, but
Not
we're
even
gonna have dinner again.
dusting them off.
We gotta make sure Ginger gets a high bid this year. She's been slacking.
She has been some.
Larry's broken his foot
Oh,
by a
yeah.
veteran, so he'll be in a
Oh, poor
wheelchair,
thing.
but which could get sympathy.
Yeah, exactly.
Councilman Grossman?
Nothing tonight, everybody's covered the thanks and merry wishes and what have you, so I'm gonna pile on.
The only thing I add is I just think we need to just keep our eyes open for next year because it's gonna be busier than this year. So hopefully, if we need staff in certain areas, we better start doing it now because we're gonna get bombarded again. And it's gonna be more so than this year. We've got a lot of stuff being published this upcoming year. Brewery center focus and a couple of magazines, so be prepared.
We're getting some cover spots in some key areas. Can't say yet, but it's pretty impressive.
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say.
I'd like to add, Vice Mayor Bennett, it is on the agenda for the January the 2nd retreat. And council can direct myself on how to proceed after that day. So, Councilman Grossman, we talked the other day, you said I should have made it tonight, and I forgot what it was. Do you remember what it was?
No, but it was important.
It was.
Well, I actually have one other thing, if everybody. The governor just basically came out and announced some stuff for affordable housing. We're gonna be having a huge amount of funding available. So maybe we can be ground zero for it, who knows, if we can figure out where to do it. There's a lot of money coming from Richmond for workforce housing / affordable housing. Big thing in the government ticket, so I know.
Yeah, bigger on the affordable side than it is mixed, but there is conversation at least out there.
And it's something that Paul's been working on a lot, and I shared them when the article when it popped out, so it's another avenue for.
It's the time for us to kind of be back in those same corners we've been talking to again.
Yeah.
So, well, I do remember, John, my text you, thank you. So I did have I had a conversation with Mr. Pusey from VDOT this morning. The parking is on the desk, and they're gonna try, if all the staff are available, review it Monday, and hopefully we will have a Christmas present.
So wait, it's in Chesapeake?
No,
He normally kicks it up to those guys.
all I know is.
It's on the right desk.
I called and left Mr. Pusey a message, because that's the only number I had, Zach can give that to me. It was about 4 hours later when Mr. Pusey called me back, but when he called me back, he said he just wanted to put it down on the desk, the person it's supposed to be, in the hands it's supposed to be to, and if the staff is available Monday, they are gonna review it, they're either gonna send us comments or approve. So, it's been a while.
Yeah,
Second.
it was buried.
Yeah. Other than that, you all saw the reports that I did have a meeting with our delegate and senator. Hopefully we'll get some funding out of the state for sidewalks and breakwaters and all that other stuff. We'll see.
Just made it one thing on the VDOT, sorry. If it's imminent, we need to be planning then now for what 3 days we're closing down Mason.
Right.
in order to strike.
Well, I agree, but I'm gonna wait till I hear from somebody Monday, because they might just come back with comments, and we might have to rework it.
Well, that may be so. All I'm saying, I don't want to all of a sudden be floundering around and saying, oh, okay, now it's in our court, you gotta pick a date. We need to be thinking along the lines of, okay, it is February 2nd, 3rd, 4th, because, and if we don't get the approvals, then we move it, but at least we'll get something planned.
Good point, all right,
That's all I'm saying.
all right. Other than that, announcements?
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
If you all have not finished your conflict of interest training, please do it because
I
the
did.
deadline is December 31st.
It's only an hour.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's mandatory by the state, so.
Yes,
Can you resend the link?
that would be really good.
Let me ask you this,
Let me get
has
from
any of us
you.
done it other than that?
Well, Sheila did, she did hers in person,
Okay.
and she sent me her certificate,
All right.
but
Are you removed from office if you don't do it?
I don't know what the,
What the penalty is.
yeah, they haven't said the penalties, but they
Yeah,
said it's
please
mandatory by
send that,
December
please.
31st.
Handcuffs.
Yep, I'm thinking
Jimmy's
probably,
gonna
probably
call
got
us
lost in emails. Announcements, December 20th, town offices closed, from noon to 2 for, employee Christmas luncheon. 24th, 25th, town offices closed for Christmas holiday. January 1st, town offices closed for New Year's Day. January 2nd, is our strategic planning retreat. And January 16th is our regular meeting. Can I get a motion to recess for closed session?
So moved.
All in favor?